Why is capacity building important in infrastructure is because it's the biggest obstacle to the development of infrastructure investment and infrastructure development itself. It is that in the countries and communities that is lacking the most to allow those communities to develop, because they lack the intellectual expertise to actually be able to build complex projects.
L'école des ponts ParisTech forme les meilleurs ingénieurs qui construiront les mondes de demain. L'école développe un panel de formation en restant à l'écoute des besoins des entreprises et en s'appuyant sur l'excellence de la recherche, en particulier celle qui est mondialement connue, qui est celle du génie civil, mais l'ensemble de la qualité des chercheurs de ces laboratoires.
Meridiam has partnered with École des Ponts et Chaussées because they have 300 years of more of expertise in the development of infrastructure, of building countries and building the future.
L'école des ponts ParisTech a développé de nombreux partenariats avec les entreprises. L'exemple de Meridiam est illustratif de ces partenariats. L'idéal pour l'école et je crois aussi pour l'entreprise, c'est d'inscrire ces partenariats dans une perspective pluriannuelle à travers des chaires d'enseignement et de recherche qui combinent l'ensemble des atouts et de l'école et de l'entreprise. Et lorsqu'on parle de développement durable, on ne doit pas oublier la dimension soutenabilité financière. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle nous avons souhaité développer un master spécialisé dans le domaine du financement de projets d'infrastructure.
I wanted to strengthen my knowledge and all what I learned during my internship. So I chosen this master, and there is nowhere better than doing that than the École des Ponts.
The training was made by high-profile professionals from many sectors and many subjects, and thanks to the timetable of the master, we were able to work at the same time, so I was able to improve my skills both professionally and academically. The reason I want to work in the project finance field is because I always wanted to work on meaningful projects.
I want to leave a footprint in this world.
What I would like to do would be inventing new structure, new strategies in order to continue the financing of those infrastructure while decreasing the involvement of public subsidies.
I want to help to make people's life better and easier by doing large infrastructure projects and to align investors and local communities' interests.
Good afternoon. And first, I should congratulate Frank Bénard for his, I'm not sure he's in the room, his award. But a few words really to talk about the development of human capital. I think we talk a lot about this, and I think it requires a specific focus because it is not project preparation facility. It is not, but it's about the people around the projects, both in the public and private sector, that are actually able to develop infrastructure. And clearly, it is a complementary aspect of human capital development to some of the facilities that EBRD was, Jean-Patrick was talking about. That works beautifully, but it does need a project manager on the public side to actually be able to mobilize this type of facilities. Perhaps just 2 points on this human capital development. I think the first one is really developing the experts to be able to support infrastructure development, and for many reasons. I think all the practitioners in the room do know that without a strong public sector with an ability to actually drive project and create a pipeline, there won't be any infrastructure investment. And I think we do say that, and I think we've been saying that for many, many years, but it's been the biggest obstacle to investment in infrastructure has been the procurement of infrastructure projects. I actually spend some of my spare time at the investment committee of a European Fund for Strategic Investment, and in the early months, we spent quite a lot of time sort of waiting for projects rather than being able to invest, and that was a huge plan of 300 billion that was planned at the Commission. So it is quite important for pipeline. It's also quite important for the risk management skills that are required for investors to manage for investment, but also for the public sector to be able to negotiate and really get the best deal that they can in terms of having the delivery of these projects over the long term. The last point, we've talked a lot about blended finance, a lot about climate finance. These are fairly innovative features of financing that clearly requires expertise and development from the practitioners of infrastructure on both sides. Blended finance does take the development bank world and the public sector world, and on the other side, the private sector. So that's the reason why over the past 5 years, we've actually partnered with the École des Ponts. Incidentally, I did hear from the minister this morning that there was the quintessential génie français, so I'm glad we picked that one to partner with. But we've also decided to transform this partnership into a new chair to finance the Specialized Master, as the director of the school was mentioning. The second key point for me is also in terms of human capital development, the promotion of research. I think that's an important bit when we think about partnering with academia, which is quite important. I mean, one clear investment that we've made that was quite helpful in the negotiations of the Solvency II was the investment that we've made, and also together with the LTIA, our Association of Long-Term Investors later on, to invest with EDEC risk in the creation of a benchmark. And this year, and a few months ago, you started having real data on what infrastructure means and how we could define it as an asset class. And I think it's quite important in supporting the asset class and the investment that investors can actually access benchmark. The other side of benchmarking and research that we've been invested in with the Toulouse Schools of Economics. We've actually been financing a chair working on valuation of assets and the issues of stranded asset in the context of climate change, which obviously is a very complex one, but I'm sure most investors in the room wouldn't like to be stuck with a few stranded assets in 10, 15 years when we have floods and hurricanes. And I think this year was quite a good example of some of the worst things that can happen to our assets when we invest in infrastructure. So really, this was all for me, and I really want to encourage the market, the players to heavily invest in the human capital, because this is the way that you'll be able to create your own teams with people of good expertise, but it is also the way that the public sector can actually access the expertise required to develop infrastructure, procure them, and be able to invite you to invest in them. So thank you.